lost, and he didn't have the
but
decency to concede.
Trump said he's never heard of Project 2025.
Trump is lying.
Kamala Harris wants to give everyone insulin. Insulin. You're like, oh, free insulin. She wants to give everyone health care. Kamala Harris wants to give everyone health care. What do you think about that?
That's a great thing. Everybody should have health care.
She wants to lower the price of prescription drugs. She wants to help first-time home buyers buy homes.
Everyone else is lying. Newsmax is the only one that's telling the truth. Everyone else is full of shit. Who are you voting for this election?
In this election, Kamala Harris.
Why? Didn't you used to like Trump?
No, oh yeah, I voted for him in 2016.
You voted for Trump in 2016?
Yeah.
Why'd you stop? You were doing so well. Like, he was going to make America great again.
No, but he didn't.
He didn't? I was making money back then.
I'm funny. I can't vote for a candidate who doesn't have the balls to concede when he lost. I can't vote for someone like that.
Listen, he won.
No, you didn't listen to me.
What?
He lost, and he didn't fucking concede. That's un-American. So take your fucking shit and get out of here. And if you support somebody who loses an election and doesn't have the decency to concede...
He won.
He did not win, he lost, and he didn't have the decency to concede. So if you support that, get out of here.
It was a ballot. It was the dead votes, fentanyl, ballot. But how many people normally die on tours of the Capitol? A lot of them die, and the CDC just never reports it, right? You know what I mean? Because people
totally
die during normal tours of the Capitol, and the CDC doesn't report it.
No, I think it's incredibly underreported.
And you can take a shit anywhere you want in the Capitol.
Yeah, exactly. Anywhere. It's your constitutional right.
Yeah, it was all Antifa.
Yeah, and the FBI. But
And
the
the
people
FBI.
that are in jail, those are political prisoners.
Well, absolutely, and they need to be released.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
yeah, no, absolutely.
Thank you for loving America.
Of course.
Holy shit.
Kamala Harris wants to give everyone health care. What do you think about that?
That's a great thing. Everybody should have health care.
It's not funny. The free market. Venezuela.
What am I supposed to say to that?
It's not funny. It's not funny. I'm at the Democratic National Convention. Kamala Harris came out with all of these really communist policies, and Trump is mad because she's copying his policies that he calls communist. Kamala Harris wants to stop companies from price gouging.
Isn't that supposed to be good for our economy? Because so much...
Oh, come on! You know that Kamala Harris wants to get rid of medical debt and make sure everyone can own a home.
Yep.
Yeah, and she also wants to curb inflation by telling companies what they can charge and what they can't charge.
Sounds good to me.
If we do that, how are we going to blame immigrants, DEI, and trans people? Yeah. You think it's funny that, Kamala Harris wants to eliminate medical debt?
It's hilarious. As a nurse, I really am offended by it.
Health care! She wants to give people health care. You think it's funny if everyone's paying $35 for insulin?
No. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's funny. Wait, sorry. What was your question? I'm confused.
Kamala Harris wants, everyone, you can just pay $35 for insulin. Not just the people that are on Medicare. Oh, yeah. Just, everyone, just get some insulin when you need it, or else you're going to die or something.
I think that's fair, and she...
Oh, God damn it! Everyone thinks it's so funny. Oh, she's going to give everyone health care. When Kamala Harris was DA, she went after oil companies. What are people going to do without their medical debt, huh? You ever think of that? No. You think it's funny, people not having medical debt and paying $35 for insulin?
That sounds honestly amazing.
Oh, yeah,
I'm voting Kamala.
Yeah, real funny, yeah. Thank you. Kamala Harris wants to tell companies what they can charge. It's like, you can't price gouge. What do you think about that?
I think companies need to stop price gouging.
Okay, what about the free market?
There they are. You'll be fine.
Kamala wants to give everyone free insulin.
The free market isn't good for every single thing, like healthcare, for example.
I was forced to see a doctor under Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I had to I went into this doctor's office. This guy stuck his finger in my ass, And
How was that for you?
well, then I find out that he didn't even work there, and then I find out that I'm not even in a doctor's office. I had the wrong address. It was the wrong address. It's not funny.
Do you know that you can change your party?
That's what the shooter did. Probably when he shot Trump. He changed his party right before he shot Trump. That's what Elon said, and I believe him. Kamala Harris wants to give everyone $35 insulin.
That's great. That's really good.
You think that's great? We need the free market. I just ran into a Democrat. I called them a communist, and they gave me this free cookie. It's a free cookie. I need some water. Does anyone have a glass of milk? I guess under Kamala Harris, everyone gets a glass of milk. It's communism. Communism.
You're okay, right?
I'm not okay because Kamala wants to give everyone free health care and insulin and eliminate medical debt. Just go get a free education. Free education. Oh, what's next? Free food? Free housing? Oh yeah, just give everyone free food and housing. And oh yeah, next thing you're going to say is water's a human right, right? Yeah, she wants to give everyone health care. What? What?
What do you need? Mental health care?
Oh yeah, and Kamala's apparently going to give everyone free mental health care.
You're against that? You don't think people should get help?
But it's, the free market and Elon Musk.
She wants to lower the price of prescription drugs. She wants to help first-time home buyers buy homes by helping with a down payment. She wants to give tax incentives to home builders to help with housing across the country. She wants to add more border patrol agents to the border. She wants to secure the border.
We're so radical. We want children to be free. We want them to be themselves. We want them to survive going to school and not get shot. We want them to have access to books. It's insane.
Are you listening to this right now?
It is radical.
Are you listening to this?
Right? Not being ashamed of who you are would be great. But then I'm a libtard. I'm a libtard. Delegate for libtards and leftists and radical commies.
What state?
Florida, the MAGA flagship.
How much better is it to live in Florida under DeSantis?
Oh, it is just heavenly. You don't need to think at all. That you're told what to do.
Yeah.
He tells you who to love. He tells you what to read, what movies to watch, what church to go to, which God to worship. It's like super easy. Once I'm done being in the kitchen and tending to the family, mopping the floors and cooking, sometimes I have an hour to myself. So it's like super generous.
So there you have it. So, this is a Democrat, and she's saying that life is better in Florida under DeSantis. So thank you.
It's great. It's great. If he wants to take us back to before 1920, to where I'm not allowed to vote.
The 19th Amendment. 19th Amendment.
Yeah, suffragettes
Weird.
and all that. Silly women.
Listen, that's the Democrats. They cheated because if women didn't vote, Republicans would have won every election since FDR.
Absolutely. And now we're here at the convention to nominate the other radical woman that's probably going to tell women, you can have a career, you can be somebody.
We're going to agree to disagree on that, but thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
Awesome.
Now let's take a selfie.
Okay, cool.
In this way.
Here you go.
I need to turn it around. See, I need a man. I needed the man to help me take a selfie.
Hey, Kamala Harris wants to give everyone insulin. Insulin. You're like, free insulin for everyone, huh?
I know.
What do you think about that?
I'll lose a lot of money on that.
Real funny. It's all a big joke. Kamala Harris wants to, eliminate student loan debt and just, give everyone health care and, what's next? Free food? Free housing? Water is a human right?
I'm okay with that. Yeah, that's not a good idea to me, man.
She also wants free Palestine, apparently.
I wish she was really talking about that, but she ain't talking about it. I want her to right now. But yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there you have it. Kamala wants to, stop price gouging corporations. You can only charge this much. You can't. What about corporate profits?
What would happen? Would families have more money in their bank accounts, or?
No, because then the companies wouldn't be able to do stock buybacks.
Right.
And then it would mess up their 401k.
And that's a bad
You
thing.
said welfare, right? Too. You talking about welfare? You said welfare? What'd you say? Welfare, socialism, socialism.
Are we Trump supporters?
Yeah, you said socialism.
Find any Trump?
We have a Trump guy here.
We got a Trump guy right here. Apparently.
Oh, MAGA guy. What's?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell you got going
So
on.
we're
But
doing
you said socialism, though, huh? So you ain't worried about corporate socialism?
Listen, Martin Luther King said it best. In this country, we have socialism for the rich and rugged individualism for the poor. Martin Luther King. I thought you liked Martin Luther King. Apparently we have a Martin Luther King hater here.
If you're being real, most white people don't know who Martin Luther King is. They know the romanticized, sanitized person that America sold back to him, but it's not really the real, authentic or organic, you feel me, unapologetic king.
Martin Luther King, he was just like
Sorry, white people.
he was very polite. He was very polite. And he was like, oh, like, let's not block traffic on the way to Selma. You know, when we marched, like, they marched, like, on the sidewalk the entire time. He asked for things nicely. He hated identity politics.
I think the people watching this right now, this is a reason why you want to make sure you pay attention to what's going on. Our education system is failing us, and a lot of half-baked ass MAGA supporters, Trump supporters, really be speaking out the side of their neck, and they have no idea what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? So education is elevation always, and always think about who's investing in keeping you stupid, keeping you ignorant. It's probably people that's benefiting from it.
Here, this film right there. Oh my God. I am just so excited to be here with Newsmax. They are the only purveyors of truth and justice. Everyone else is a big liar except for Newsmax, okay? Everyone else is lying. Newsmax is the only one that's telling the truth. That's it. Everyone else is full of shit, okay? You can't trust anything, okay? I get my news from Newsmax, Facebook memes, my uncle, my roommate who's a DJ and a personal trainer, and he sells herbal medicine. He sells herbal medicine. It's not a pyramid scheme, okay? It's a real job. Those are my most trusted news sources ever. Thank you for what you're doing for America. There are transgenders in the bathroom, and you're gonna get them the fuck out. I love it. It's amazing. Thank you. America!
Yo. What's your credentials? Who you with, brother?
I'm with Walter Masterson. I'm a
Why
creator.
are you yelling out here just like that, man? Creating a scene like that.
I don't have to yell. So I was saying
you have to. I'm saying, why are you yelling like that?
I was saying I really like their reporting, and I was saying it's great.
I'm not saying what you're saying. Why are you yelling, causing disturbance? Let's not get the credential taken away. Do your thing.
I appreciate that.
You know
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
time.
Project 2025. Trump said he's never heard of Project 2025. A lot of Republicans are like, oh, I don't know anything about this.
Well, Trump is lying, but he is a liar. We know that. And so he knows those are his people are working with the Heritage Foundation to put 2025 together. And they want to get rid of the education department. They want to kill Head Start. They want to change the way Social Security works and increase the age before you can retire. It goes on and on and on. People better know and understand what 2025 is all about, and don't pay any attention to Trump and others saying that they don't know what's going on. They know.
They know?
Yeah, they know.
They know.
Yeah.
Congressman crushed in 2022. Crushed. We didn't. And the reason was the issue of abortion. And it motivated people to come out and say, yeah, elections do matter. And Kamala Harris will protect a woman's reproductive rights. Donald Trump, it's his Supreme Court that got us here. Let's be clear. Trump is trying to walk it back now. This is his Supreme Court that got us Roe v. Wade being overturned.
Yeah.
And he can say whatever he wants now.
Sure.
He owns this. In Florida, a 6-week ban, women don't even know they're pregnant in 6 weeks. I've had cats as a homeowner. We have 3 dogs now, but I love cats. Let me be on the record, I love cats.
Cats and dogs threaten the nuclear family. The head of Project 2025 said that.
I think Tim Walz helps you in Pennsylvania. I think Josh Shapiro was standing here today. I mean, listen, this was a governor, largest tax cut in history, cut prescription drug costs down dramatically.
But he wouldn't help more than Shapiro in Pennsylvania.
No, but I think the calculus is he helps in obviously.
I wish he did. It would have been easier to win. It would have been like 2016. That would have been a great choice because then we would have totally had it in the bag and won.
Great candidates.
I was really upset.
Listen, I'm here in Chicago. I love J.B. Pritzker too. He's doing a great job hosting us. He had a great John Legend concert last night.
Project 2025. I mean, what's everyone's saying? Oh, Trump does. He's never heard about it, but he also doesn't like it, and he's never heard about
Let me
it.
tell you why. Another thing on Virginia. They don't like the idea that his 2025 basically eliminates the federal workforce.
What's wrong with that?
As a governor of a state that has the most federal workers, these are hard-working people who work for our government.
The free market, we privatize it and get rid of unions and all that stuff. Well, I mean, what's wrong with Project 2025?
We got many of those that work in the federal government that are unionized. But you don't go in and say you're wiping out these are good, hard-working
Well, we want to be able to fire everyone on day one once we take over, and then install our people loyal to us that love America.
The record's clear, I don't agree with what he's saying. So
I'll tell him later.
Yeah.
But for me, that was fantastic.
You are a traitor. He betrayed Donald Trump. You traitor! You betrayed him. You're a freaking traitor. I can't even look at you.
It's okay.
He was your friend.
How are you, buddy? You're going to be all right. I promise you. You're going to be all right.
I'm at the Democratic convention, and I found a Trump supporter. You voted for Trump in 2016, right?
Yep.
And again in 2020.
Yes, I did.
And who are you voting for in the next election?
Kamala Harris.
Wait, what?
Kamala Harris.
Okay. Why did you change your mind and vote for Kamala? You voted for Trump twice.
I did, twice. I'm voting for Kamala because she's going to protect women's rights. I'm voting for Kamala because she's not Donald Trump. I mean, I really can't stand the man now.
Why? But you used to like him. What happened?
I turned off Fox News. That was actually a huge piece of it. So I was an avid Fox News watcher, and when you shut that off, your brain changes. And I got to see what was really happening, and not through the lens of Fox News propaganda.
I shut off Fox News as well after they called the election for Joe Biden, and then I watched OAN and Newsmax. So you shut off Fox News and you didn't watch OAN and Newsmax?
No.
Okay. Where did you get your information?
I actually got it from news sources that were unbiased. AP, Reuters. I stay away from extremes on either side because my daughters were actually away during COVID, so I started kind of pushing away from them then. So I really think you should think about, moving away from OAN and Newsmax.
And then now you're like a Kamala person. So you want women's rights and stuff like that?
Yeah, stuff like that. I also think I'd rather have somebody who doesn't sexually assault women.
Okay.
How about you?
I'm America first. Sexual assault. What is that?
It's when a jury actually finds you liable for assaulting, and it's a unanimous decision. 26 other women also accused. So at some point, are they all lying, or should we believe at least one of them?
I mean, it's like there's all these people that I think are so biased. It's like, we're supposed to believe all of the 100 people that used to work for Trump that don't work for him anymore, that don't really like him anymore. We're supposed to believe his ex-business partners. We're supposed to believe the media. And we're supposed to believe him when he talks, when he gives speeches.
So let me ask you, when have you ever seen a president who's not supported by their own vice president, former vice president, or seen somebody like George Bush isn't endorsing him? 40 out of 44 of his cabinet members aren't supporting him. If you're a lifelong Republican, you have to look at that and say, this feels off. There's something wrong here.
But you're still a Republican, though. Kamala wants to give everyone health care.
I know, isn't that horrible? And then Walz wants free lunch for kids. It's bastards.
Yeah.
Right?
And insulin, going to be $35.
So.
And she wants everyone's, student loan debt. Isn't that shock you as a Republican, though?
Yeah, it used to. But then I think if you really search your soul, I mean, who doesn't want free lunch for kids?
I mean, people that are America first. No.
I'm an immigrant, and my family fled a dictatorship in Cuba.
Why aren't you like MAGA, a MAGA Republican?
Well, you know, there's actually more Cuban Democrats than you'd think, but the problem is that many of them are quiet because they're scared of being called communists. But the reality is that I am anti-dictatorship, and there's nothing more similar than Castro, than Donald Trump. Someone who has said he's going to be a dictator on day one. In my family, I have generations that fought against dictatorship. My great-grandmother was a guerrilla fighter against Batista in the Cuban Revolution. And my grandfather was a political prisoner under Castro. I know deeply what it is when a democracy is lost and when rights are lost and when you're not able to express yourself, which is why Disrupt Project 2025 is so dangerous, because it believes in something called the unitary executive theory, which is that the president has ultimate authority over every other branch of government and can weaponize the Department of Justice. They can fire anyone who's not loyal, and they will come after our rights. I want to be able to speak out about what I believe in. I want to be able to live in this country as an immigrant. They plan on deporting millions of immigrants.
Project 2025 does a denaturalization where they can denaturalize naturalized citizens and strip them of their citizenship. Yeah. If they don't like you.
Exactly. When they say mass deportations, they're talking about not just undocumented immigrants. They're talking about all immigrants, and they want to also get rid of birthright citizenship. This denaturalization unit, they want to reactivate it and fund it so that they can go after people and strip away their citizenship even though they've been naturalized. This is a threat to everything we believe in, and that's why I want to make sure that people share their story. As an immigrant, I'm terrified about that. But there are many other issues, like monitoring menstrual cycles and pregnancies to punish anyone, and that is so dangerous. Climate change being removed from every document, so we live in a future where we won't be able to leave our house for 2 months on end because of a deadly heat wave. Really go to disruptproject2025.org. You will learn about the issues. You will be able to find scripts so you can tell your story on social media, and scripts to talk to your family and friends. Everyone can make a difference in this election, and to go and door knock and make calls to elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So you said you're a historian?
Yes, sir. I'm a Chicago historian. I teach people about the history of Chicago, about some of the cool stuff that comes from Chicago, right? We invented the skyscraper. I'm trying to check out your microphone because we invented Shure microphones, which is one of the best microphones ever. Chicago invented the car radio. Chicago invented chocolate brownies. Chicago invents sports mascots. Chicago invents the baseball glove, right? Very, very important. And so I teach people those histories, and I also lead a tour company where I take people on historic neighborhood tours.
What are some cool neighborhoods?
Well, I would suggest people visit a neighborhood called Uptown. I have a very proud Mexican-American neighborhood called Pilsen. You should visit Bronzeville. You should visit Roseland. You should visit Pullman, which gave the country Labor Day. Labor Day comes from the Pullman Railroad strike.
Okay, wow. The people that gave you the weekend.
Yes, sir. You owe us that. Chicago certainly gave the 8-hour workday with the weekends off. That's born right here in Chicago.
When people talk about Chicago, you know, the first thing they talk about in the press is the crime.
One, Chicago's not even in the top 10 of the worst any criminal statistics. Not in the top 10 in murder per capita. We're not in the top 10 in violent crime. We are in the top 10 in stolen cars. That's because some dude taught everybody how to steal the Kias on TikTok, and there's a lot of Kias in Chicago. Last weekend, sadly, 40 people were shot here in Chicago. But Chicago has a population of 2.6 million people. So that's 0.00016th of a percentage of people in Chicago getting shot. By any other metric whatsoever, that makes Chicago a safe place. News outlets, conservative and progressive outlets, whenever they want to talk about what's wrong with policy, they pick on Chicago. Really, Chicago's an awesome place.
No one wants to talk about where the guns come from.
That's an excellent point you brought up. There have been several studies and investigations done in Chicago of all the guns confiscated in Chicago. Something to the tune of like 88% of them come from our neighboring states with no gun laws.
Oh, wait, you know where those guns also go? Haiti.
Yes.
To fund the whole warlord thing.
That's absolutely correct. We live 45 minutes away from Indiana. In Chicago, we do have conceal and carry. But if you go in and buy a gun, you don't get it for 4 days because they do a background check. But you can drive 45 minutes into Indiana and buy a gun and walk right out with it. And we suffer because of that.
I'm here with the head of the American Federation of Teachers. Conservatives have been attacking the teachers union for years. The past 2-3 years, they've gotten really good at it.
They don't like public schools. In fact, if you read Project 2025, they want to destroy public schools. They want to destroy the supports that public schools give to all kids when they say get rid of the Department of Education and cut Title I.
Well, they want to bring it back to the states, where each state can.
Well, it's even worse than that, because the states actually control public education right now. They want to cut the funding for public education, and they want to give the funding to rich folk as
private corporations.
Well, to private corporations and to other rich folks. So essentially,
That's what the voucher program is?
that's what the voucher program is. We have the evidence already, which is when they do these vouchers, disproportionately, the people who get them are people who are already sending their kids to private schools, and those private schools have jacked up their prices so other people can't get them.
So $20,000 a year, $30,000 a year private school. Under the voucher program, the state will give you like $10,000. So you still have to pay a large portion of it.
And
so
what we're
this is
seeing-
not for poor people. This is not for the lower middle class. It is strictly for upper class, upper middle.
Well, what we're seeing is that in different places, 60% of the voucher money, or 80% of the voucher money, has been going to people who already have their kids in private schools.
Yeah.
So it's not so, and
it's a
and
wealth
you know this.
transfer.
It is a wealth transfer. It's another tax cut. What it also is doing is basically draining public schools out of funding. We know that public schools need to be strengthened. We're not going to be satisfied unless we help every single child not only dream his, her, or their dreams, but achieve them. But what happens is there's no other way to do that than having broad-based, broadly successful public schools. What they have done in the last few years is they've taken any issue that parents are concerned about and they try to weaponize it in favor of privatization and against public schools. And we know this because one of the architects of this, Christopher Rufo, has said what they're trying to do is create great public school distrust in order to create vouchers. What were we trying to do in COVID? We're trying to reopen schools quickly because we knew that was important for kids, but make it safe. Instead of helping us do that, they just criticized us for wanting to make it safe. As soon as that was over, there were issues around masks, and there were issues around book banning and the teaching of honest history.
They just moved the goalposts.
They just move the goalposts because it is always about creating distrust so that they can privatize. If it was really about choice, they'd be as fixated about improving public schools as I am, and then give parents real choice. It's not about choice, it's about privatization.
What are the talking points they use? They talk about test scores. They're like, well, the test scores in the charter schools are always better.
And they're actually not. The test scores in the voucher schools and the test scores in the charter schools basically align with the social economic issues or the social economic environment in the area. So if you've had high wealth in the area, test scores are high.
The critics of public
And I say this as someone who runs a charter school that has a 95 to 99% graduation rate.
Well, those current charter schools still go through the Department of Education. Charter schools that run right now still have to go through the Department of Education. There's still rules. Once they get rid of the Department of Education, the charter schools are just can do whatever they want.
But charter, again, just like almost everything else in education, guess what? It's done through the states. So there are some charter schools that are public and there's some that are private. It depends on what the state law is.
Yeah, so they basically, so you're saying, just to recap what you're saying, the charter schools and the private schools, the charter schools, all of them align socioeconomically.
It's not every single one of them, but by and large, that's how the alignment
Yeah,
goes.
so they try and say, oh, well, the charter schools do better, that's why we need to get rid of public education. But in reality, the test scores are not better.
The test scores, particularly with the voucher schools, the test scores are not better. In some charters they're better, in some charters they are worse. If you've noticed, no one in the private market anymore uses test scores as the selling point for privatization. They use choice, not that the academics are better.
Corey DeAngelis uses that all the time. He always says that the test scores are better.
Corey DeAngelis actually these days says that parents should have choice.
So he stopped lying because he knows
No.
he can't. He knows he can't get away with it.
I mean, we educate 50 million children every day in America.
Yeah.
You're always going to find a proof point to make your case. There's always an exception to a rule that makes your case. What I'm talking about is our job in public education is all those 50 million kids. And the people who are fighting for privatization don't actually care about those 50 million kids. They care about essentially disbanding the public system or defunding the public system.
Yeah, and giving that money over to a corporation. A lot of people don't understand the concept of public school with public school charter, and so a school district gets X amount of money per head, per student. It's like what, 10,000, 20,000 from the public system, from taxpayer dollars. So the push for privatization, they want that money to go, the $10,000 to go to a private corporation.
Right, or they want it to go to parents who then give it to a private corporation.
Yes. Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't get it
I'm
either.
glad that you know. I'm glad that everyone in this room knows who Corey DeAngelis is. I've been trying to get people to know about him and Rufo for years. It's refreshing that people know and understand. What else do you want to say about what's going on?
What we're trying to do is we are trying to create opportunity. Whether it is a love of learning, a love of books, whether it is wraparound services around schools so that we're meeting all the needs of kids and families, or whether it is really sparking our innovation and creating the next generation of artists and innovators and leaders. That's what public schools do. We are targeted by the right wing a lot because we are foundational to two pillars of opportunity. One is public education, and the other is a labor movement that tries to bargain for better wages for the people it represents. So here we are in the middle of trying to help teachers and paraprofessionals have a better life, better wages, and these billionaires don't want to do that. They don't want that kind of fairness. They don't want it in terms of the private sector, manufacturing, chips, any of that. They don't want it in the public sector. They don't want to pay more taxes. They don't want to help people have a better life. They want it for themselves. Now, I don't begrudge them being wealthy, but the 10 billionaires in the country having more wealth, or the 3 wealthiest people in the country having more wealth than 50 or 60% of everybody else.
It's a policy failure.
It is
an unelected representative.
It is inequity that is corrosive. So they hate labor, and they fight against a labor movement, and they really hate public education, and they fight to defund public education. So I don't understand why they're so afraid of knowledge and why they're so afraid of kids in America and families in America having a better life.
I hope you're enjoying my trip to the DNC. As you can see, people are pretty divided politically in America right now. And that is due to our media landscape. Luckily, there's Ground News. Oh my God, what is Ground News? Ground News is a website and app that gathers news from 50,000 sources around the world, so you can stay fully informed on the news of the day and see through media bias and manipulation. I highly, highly recommend Ground News. Just go to ground.news ground.news/Walter. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen. Looking at Ground News, we can see that there are over 30 articles on a recent story about 10 former U.S. military officials backing Harris and calling Trump a danger. If we look at the coverage details and bias distribution, we can see which news sources cover this story along with a breakdown of the political leaning of the outlets reporting. It looks like most of the coverage is from the center, with around 30% from the left, 20% from the right. If we want to compare headlines to see what each side is saying, we can look at a headline from each side. On the left, we see this headline from Axios. It focuses on how the retired military leaders came to Harris's defense over the Afghanistan withdrawal. While this headline from the Telegraph, an outlet that leans right, puts the story in the context of the recent debate and the overall election. My favorite feature is the blind spot feed. I use it so I won't miss out on any important stories covered by just one side of the political spectrum. With an intense election upon us, I highly recommend Ground News. Just go to ground.news/Walter. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen. Using my link gets you 40% off the Vantage plan. It's only the same plan I use for unlimited access to all of its features. When you support Ground News, you're also supporting my channel. So thank you, Ground News, and back to this video. Yeah, so tell me you're here. Are you an uncommitted voter?
No, I'm a Harris delegate.
Okay. And so a lot of people that are pro-Palestine are not, they're choosing to vote uncommitted. Some people are staying out of the election entirely. What are your thoughts?
They voted president. It was either Harris or president. Those were the choices.
Okay. A lot of people are saying Trump and Kamala have the same policies on Palestine. What are your thoughts?
I think that's speculative. We still have to start an administration.
What state? You're a delegate from what state?
Washington State.
What are you doing at the DNC?
So I'm here as part of the Creators Program, and today I'm out here to show support for all the uncommitted and other delegates who are demanding that the DNC and Kamala Harris and Tim Walz support a ceasefire and arms embargo on Israel. We are here supporting Vice President Harris, but we also want to hold her accountable.
A lot of us is tired of seeing taxpayers' dollars going to brutalizing Palestinian people. The reason why I'm here is because I think Kamala Harris still has a something to follow through when it comes to that ceasefire, but I also recognize right now we get two options. I'd rather organize against a Kamala Harris when it comes to getting a ceasefire or anything for black folks than I would Donald Trump. Donald Trump talking about letting Netanyahu finish the job, as along with banning Muslims.
He talked about letting Netanyahu finish the job. He's talked about mowing down the student encampments, sending in the military against...
Listen, Donald Trump want to take my black ass out the country for rocking the kufiya. As a matter of fact, my democratic freedom of being able to protest and have freedom of speech being infringed on, Donald Trump already talking about kicking me out the country for rocking the kufiya. But his boys can rock a Confederate flag.
Yeah, they can rock the Democratic flag of the Confederacy.
They can rock KKK, Confederate flags, and that shit seen as being freedom of speech, but we rocking the kufiya mean I support terrorism? That shit sound like fascism to me. I don't want nothing to do with it. And listen, Kamala Harris, we need that ceasefire. We need that weapons embargo. Last thing I'll say is, there are a lot of uncommitted voters specifically when it comes to this kufiya. If Kamala Harris loses, it will be because she did not take seriously the value of Palestinians being murdered by taxpayers' dollars in America, and she lost. That's the only reason why she'll lose. If she follows accordingly, she will be the first woman to be a president of America. Mark my words.
You're a ceasefire candidate. You're a ceasefire delegate. Yeah?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
I'm uncommitted. I got elected uncommitted. Justice for Palestine, permanent ceasefire now. This isn't about negative Biden. This isn't about negative Harris. This is about the only risk Harris has to losing, which is all those young people who don't want American bombs falling on Gaza.
Yeah.
We don't want them back on campus camping out.
No.
We want them working and voting for Harris. And they're not going to do it if she doesn't act, and she's beginning to. We see a lot of signs she's beginning to, and our fingers are crossed.
Yeah.
But I think she'll do it, and I think she has to win. So she's a really smart lady, so I think she'll.
Yeah.
I think she'll do it.
Awesome. Thank you. Ceasefire delegate. I love it. I feel like this is going to lose the election for us.
Well, I guess I disagree with the premise. What do you mean mess up the election? I don't think people voting their conscience messes up the election. And I think that if there are people out here who honestly think that Donald Trump is going to be a better friend to Palestine than Kamala Harris, then they should vote for Donald Trump. I don't see how a person could think that, but if they think that, then by all means, vote for the person who you think is going to represent your issues the best. What I kind of can't accept, or what I don't accept, or what I try to encourage people not to do, is that don't sit on the couch with your thumb in your butt and be all, I'm going to like anybody, I'm not going to vote. No. It is a binary choice. We can be angry that it's a binary choice. We can fight in the off season for it not to be a binary choice. I, for instance, am a member of the Working Families Party in my state, New York. I'm always supporting working family.
Every election I vote working families down ballot.
Oh, so in New York, right? So like this is what, there are ways to try to get reasonable alternatives on the ballot, but that way passed and has gone, is passed by the time we get to November 5th. November 5th is a binary choice. I happen to think that Harris is going to be a better friend to Palestine than Donald Trump. Now, to get to so that's at 30,000 feet. To get into the nitty gritty, I think that the party's made a mistake by not platforming at least some Palestinian voices, because when I listen to Palestinian voices, what I hear is the same thing that I'm hearing from non-Palestinian voices in this hall for the most part. There is a prayer for peace. There is a prayer for humanity. There is a prayer for decency. And that's all the Palestinian protesters outside are asking for, and that's what a lot of people in here are asking for too. So I think it's a mistake not to have that message come from a Palestinian American, come, especially we have some Palestinian American representatives, to come from one of those representatives, because they're saying the same things that we're saying. And I think it's a mistake to not platform people, so I think that was a miss by whoever the big wigs are. But I don't agree that it's going to ruin the election or scuttle the election, when what we have to understand is who is going to be better on this issue. I happen to think that Harris is going to be better.
No, I mean, I know this because I've been following Trump around. I've been interviewing MAGA for the last several years. I've traveled the country. I've listened to him speak 30 times. I've listened to Kerry Lake. I've been on the campaign trail for the midterms and everything. I was on the steps on January 6th during the Capitol riots. I know this.
You know what's coming.
But, I don't expect everyone else to know what I know. I'm not that arrogant. The person that's not plugged in all the time to our level, why would they know that? Why they know he's bad, but they're like, they don't know how bad. They don't know.
It's weird because you're almost asking me, why do I do what I do?
Yeah.
Right? What I do, the reason why I do what I do, the reason I'm taking an interview kind of randomly at the DNC, right, is because maybe somebody is watching as the first time they've heard these arguments. Maybe. Yeah. And that's who I'm always thinking about. Maybe it's the first time you've heard these arguments. And if I can be the first person to make that argument to you and inspire you to go out and do a little bit more research, watch some more of your videos, get some more knowledge, then that's all you can hope for. It's been confirmed that Donald Trump hit up Netanyahu and was like, bro, wait up. Yeah, just give it, don't cease fire right now. And so at this point, I thought that was a conspiracy theory, and now I'm like, oh wait, that was true. Nope. He definitely wants to prolong this to destabilize the Democratic Party. Because Trump only cares about himself. Trump only cares about what he perceives in the moment benefits Trump. What do we love about Kamala's new policies? We love health care.
We love healthcare.
We love
eliminating
housing.
We love eliminating medical debt.
Eliminating
we
student
love
loans.
making housing more affordable, that American dream of home ownership.
Yeah.
A lot of people can afford the mortgage payment, but they don't have enough of that down payment. And she's got a proposal to address that.
Trump's not running on any of this.
Oh, Trump's running on Trump. And Trump is all about Trump. And a big reason why we have so much momentum is people are sick and tired of leaders just talking about themselves and the politics of grievance. People don't want to hear what Trump's worried about himself. People want to hear what politicians are going to do for them. And Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have outlined, we're going to protect your freedoms, the freedom to make choices about your body.
There's a lot at stake. There's Project 2025. What scares me a lot is the fact that this could all get derailed with the whole Israel-Palestine thing. It seems like that's the one thing that could lose the Democrats this election.
Well, the vice president has been very clear in calling for a ceasefire, a durable ceasefire, a two-state solution, addressing immediately the humanitarian crisis that exists there. One of the things we did here at the convention, I believe it was the first day of the convention, was convene here in at the convention a listening session that was led by Attorney General Keith Ellison of Minnesota and one of the community leaders.
Keith Ellison, he's a Muslim.
And
yeah.
Keith, yes, and he's a very good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he's been a leader on these issues. We are a big tent party. There is so much suffering going on now.
Yeah.
The vice president has worked tirelessly to bring forth solutions there. And I am confident that we can get there. And we're going to continue to make sure that we are engaging with our Muslim, Arab, Palestinian brothers and sisters, because their pain is unspeakable. It's just.
And I don't want to gotcha you at all. I'm just saying that right now they're doing a sit-in for, because they want representation here. They want to be able to speak.
Again, literally day one, because we wanted to make sure we sent a clear message to folks that, we have been engaging with you. We hear you. We are working toward so many of your goals, most notably a ceasefire and a durable peace. And we're going to continue to do that.
That guy goes on social media and he mocks Republicans.
Really? Do you think he knows me?
He probably does.
Yeah, we got to talk to him. Hey, your job, go get him lined up to talk to us. We're going to keep talking to some of the people. You got the Antifa shirt on.
Yeah.
What does Antifa stand for?
It's anti-fascism.
And what do you think about this Project 2025 stand right here?
Project 2025, I mean, have you read it?
I have read a little bit of it.
What do you think about it?
Well, I've just known that Donald Trump has said he's not part of it.
So Project 2025, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, let's talk about
Absolutely. So Trump said he never heard of it. He also doesn't like it. Project 2025, all the co-authors are former members of the Trump administration. They've all worked for him. They stayed loyal to him. One of the most loyal people ever. Stayed loyal to him through everything. The election fraud, January 6th, probably the most loyal people ever. And Project 2025 wants to use Schedule F to fire federal workers and replace them with Trump loyalists. And he did this in his first term. He was great at it. John McKinty was a great
But if Donald Trump if he publicly came out multiple times saying he does not endorse or he's not a part of Project 2025,
he'd be lying.
Why do they keep endorsing it?
He'd be always lying. I mean,
why would he lie about that?
Why would Trump lie? You know what, you dude, the left owns. You got me, bro. I don't know why Trump would have any reason to lie whatsoever, other than that there's been massive public pushback.
What's the thing that scares you most about Project 2025?
The thing that scares me most about Project 2025. Okay, Schedule F. It's going to replace all the government workers with Trump loyalists. One in there, it's amazing. It's about Mexico's sovereignty. And it's saying it's going to use America's military to go in and invade Mexico to get rid of the cartels. The cartels are a problem, but should we invade them?
The cartels are already here in America.
Well, should we invade Mexico and invade their sovereignty with the United States military? That is in Project 2025. I've read Project 2025, so I'm very versed in it. So you can have 300 new aircraft carriers is in there. Let me see. It wants to build more nukes, and anything that we've done to get rid of nukes.
That could be good. That could be good protection for the
more
US.
Nukes.
For the
more
US?
nukes. We need more nukes.
For the U.S.? We got to protect ourselves.
We don't have enough nuclear bombs. Is that a joke? That's a joke. What?
And a lot of the money, what do you... Brooker T, you can help. What's your question? My mom's got a question.
Okay.
What's your question for him?
What's the question?
Okay. I'm part of this. So, Kamala Harris now is all of a sudden running on the border. Do you believe that she's going to secure the border?
Okay, one of her problems. Okay, that's a good one. That's a fair question. So, when she was VP, one of the things she was tasked with, there was 3 nations, 3 countries where they had the bulk of the immigrants coming from, and she was tasked with going and dealing with the internal problems that was causing just this mass migration. And migration from those 3 countries went down from those 3 countries.
After 3.5 years, and finally Joe Biden decided to step up and will come in.
Have I watched?
Waved at the cartel?
Have I waved at the cartel?
Yeah,
So most of the drugs coming in, they give it to white people, all right? And they come through port of entry. Cartels are a major business. They're a functional business.
They're making a lot of money.
Yeah, they're making a lot of money. They're doing really good. They don't put it on brown people's backs and send them over the border. They give it to white people to go over using ports of entry, because that is the most effective way to get in there. Every government agency, every alphabet agency
And if
has
they
said,
are giving it to white people, the cartel is paying the white people to bring the drugs in. They are paying them. Every person who comes through our border, they are paying the cartel thousands of dollars, and no one at the border, not even the Border Patrol, no officers, no nobody will stop anybody from coming in.
Yeah, and
They
except
like
the
it when we go there.
legislation
No.
that would have put tons of things where it can sense when fentanyl, all the things that sense when fentanyl is going through the border through ports of
there's a
entry.
lot of it.
A major border bill that Langford was a huge Trumper.
Do not mess with
He
Booker T.
supported his election fraud conspiracy.
I think
Far
it's
right
so
guy.
funny.
He
I
was
think
one of the
it's-
co-authors, and they killed it because Trump wanted something to run on.
No, I think it's so funny because they blame Trump for everything. In that DNC, Trump's name has been brought up more than anything because the blame is put on Trump for everything, and they blame Trump for the open border. I do not go off of that. And Kamala Harris now is running on closing the border, where she's been our president for
Literally everything
years.
I've just said about Project 2025 and the border is verifiable and true, and
Trump
you
has
just
nothing to
come
do with
with like a
Project
bunch of
2025.
conjecture and bullshit. Okay?
Can't take. And how much did you get paid to come here? You're a creator.
How much do I get paid to come here? Was it they paid for my flight? Yeah, so they paid for my flight. They gave me access. I've never had access before. Listen.
You get a free hotel room?
Listen. I have traveled
They're
around the
literally-
country
they are literally
dragging
paying
MAGA
people.
for 4 years.
Yeah, I bet you have. I bet you
so
have.
I don't need a DNC budget to do that. I'm a very successful creator. I have my own budget to travel the entire country and drag MAGA all day.
By the DNC.
Okay,
Kamala's paying
my
for you
own
to drag
credit
it.
card can take me anywhere within a day to come and drag fascists.
Really?
I don't need the DNC money. I don't need MAGA money. I don't need the
But there's-
special
but there's-
Soros money.
I don't
okay?
think it's right when
You're
you
gonna
call
flip
people
out
like
when you
us
find
that
fascists.
Yes.
Yeah, we are not
Fascist?
fascist by any means.
No.
Okay,
But you're literally getting paid to come here.
What? I'm getting paid to.
Do you think Republicans? Do you think Donald Trump flew in anybody coming to the RNC? Do you think
He's
he
flown
paid?
people to
do you think
Mar-a-Lago. He has tons of conservative
to
influencers.
Mar-a-Lago? Is it a little weird that Kamala and the DNC has literally started paying people upwards of $1,500 to post a 60-second clip just bashing Trump?
What?
They're literally paying for influence here in the United States.
I've been doing this for free for 4 years, okay? No one has had to pay me to go and take a dump on Trump.
They
And
pay
it's
you-
not difficult, all right? It's not hard to find people that dislike Trump.
guy probably
all
poops
right?
green 'cause he's
You don't have
probably
to
a vegan.
pay anyone here to make a video about how much Trump is a piece of garbage, all right? You don't have to pay them to have him talk about election fraud, and like the host of other problems, all right? All right, who won the election? Quick question. Speed round. Who won the election? You told me. Okay, what happened on January 6th?
I was there.
Wait, what? You were there?
I was there. I
Okay,
was
what
there.
happened on January 6th? I was there too. I was also there. I was on the steps of Capitol Hill.
So
What
was I.
happened on January 6th?
January 6th.
What
Donald
happened?
Trump gave a very good
Be
speech.
careful because
Gave a
I
very
was
good
there.
speech. I was there too.
Okay, I was
You
on
can
the
go watch my
steps. Be
YouTube
careful.
video.
What happened on January 6th?
So
what happened?
what happened was
What happened?
Donald Trump gave his speech.
What happened?
I'm talking to you.
Okay, yes.
There was an insurrection there.
There was an insurrection. By who? By who?
By the same people that were at the
No. By
riot
who?
yesterday that also got
No.
arrested. It's all a bunch of the same people that control that
Okay, so then
stuff.
great. So it's all Antifa and the FBI.
Yep.
But then who's in jail?
look,
No.
you
But
just
the
said it's
people
Antifa.
in
He's wearing
jail
Antifa
are
shirt.
those Antifa or FBI? No. Trump calls them political prisoners.
They
so
are,
The people,
they are.
So the ones that got caught are not Antifa and FBI. But everyone else is
Yeah, 'cause they
Antifa and
get
FBI. But
paid
the ones
by
that
the
went to
people.
jail are all
It's
Antifa.
an inside job.
But
It's
they're
an
not
inside
Antifa
job.
or FBI.
Hey, dude, we're on the same team. I'm wearing a Kamala shirt right now.
I do the
We're on
same thing you
team.
do, so trust
We're on
me,
the
I
same
can see
team.
right through it. Okay, so according to them, I was at Capitol Hill,
I
you
was
were at
there.
Capitol Hill on January 6th.
Look at this man.
I saw an insurrection, you saw, it was just Antifa and FBI, but the people that are in jail were not Antifa or FBI, correct?
Wow.
So the people in jail, are they Antifa or FBI?
What happened was not right. It was not right. But
Thank
also
you.
what is
No,
going
no,
on
no, no,
right
no,
now.
no, we're not pivoting. We're not pivoting.
I can't. You can't even have a conversation.
This is
What is
Antifa.
going on right now is also not well.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Like Palestine?
Yeah. And
That's not right.
Palestine?
Yeah, that's horrible what's going on in Palestine.
It's horrible
Okay,
what's
thank you.
going on
What's
right now.
so?
Nobody should get there should no
about
innocent people should ever die.
Okay, thank you. I thank you. I agree, 100%.
Whatever.
No innocent people should ever die.
Do you agree with Trump saying that he wants to mow down student encampments?
No.
What?
No. And
Thank
I
you.
don't believe he's saying that.
Okay. I mean, I wasn't at. Okay, so now I wasn't at the. I've been to 30 Trump rallies. I've listened to him talk again and again and again and again. There are speeches of his that I can know by heart almost.
Wow.
So when I hear him
What do you think? I got one question and then I'm done. One more question. What policy are you most excited for Kamala Harris to announce today?
Eliminating medical debt. Let me see. Student loans, medical debt.
Why hasn't she done that while she has been in office?
What?
Why hasn't
she done that at VP? VP is one of the most useless, worthless positions. You basically go to funerals and you break Senate ties.
we got Congressman coming in. This is getting heated right now. This is getting heated.
As the vice president, everyone's saying she has so much experience. Everyone's saying Kamala Harris has so much experience. But you just said the vice president is the most useful job ever. Most useless
You break Senate
job.
ties, you go to funerals.
And you go to funerals, but yet she's.
She's broken a bunch of Senate ties.
Yeah, she has broken a lot of ties.
Wait, what was
she
that?
Has broken a lot of ties.
more ties as VP than any VP in American
Yeah, and she's also Attorney General. She's also a senator. She's also a district attorney. Yeah. She also, since
borders are great job with the.
Yeah, what do you think about
She went to the 3 countries that she worked with.
Wait, I got one question. One question, and then I'm done. Is it a little bit strange that here they put up a border wall
walls.
and they're
oh my
checking
God,
for IDs?
nice house, but is there a wall in your house? Oh, the mic drop. Oh my God! Look at that house. There's a wall in it. Oh, does that have a ceiling on it?
Walter Masterson is a comedian and creator known for satirizing politicians with interviews. Please welcome to the stage, Walter.
Thank you. I'm going to start. There's a group. I don't think everyone really knows about them. They are huge, and they have an anarchistic, anarcho-syndicalist structure. They boast thousands of chapters nationwide. They meet up once a year to discuss how the smallest amount of civic activism locally can really change things. They encourage their members to get involved in their local city council, town council, their school board. It's very inspiring. That group is Moms for Liberty. Moms for Liberty, the group that bans books and quotes Hitler unironically. Moms for Liberty, yes, it is an anarchistic structure. They have thousands of nationwide chapters. They encourage people to get involved locally. They're meeting up next week. They're not going to go rah-rah and wave flags. They're going to say, hey, you get involved in your school board, then you get the next person, and you get involved in your town council. You can make a difference. Just one of you can make a difference. If they're more inspiring with civic engagement than you are, you're doing it wrong. This, obviously, really important election. There's a lot at stake. There's a lot of people that they want to sit this election out. These crazy people. They're like, oh, there shouldn't be a genocide, or primary candidates shouldn't have $18 million in funding. Like, cuckoo. Like, I prepared some talking points, and so how we can just engage them. Sorry. All right. So. When you're talking to one of these people, you want to say, you're a piece of shit. Why are you so ungrateful? Why aren't you voting in this election? Project 2025 is going to fuck you in the ass. Why won't you show up and elect our leader right now? He's the best leader ever. Why aren't you excited about him? What the fuck? I hate you. That's a really inspiring way to get them to show up on election day. So stick to that script, okay? There's some things that I wrote down that you shouldn't do. Don't, go up to these people and say, hey, but we're really trying to move the Overton window here to sort of normalize things like free school lunch, universal health care. I know that your movement is, very localized with an emphasis on collective action and community organizing. Listen, Project 2025, you can't really community organize or collectively organize around runaway corrupt SCOTUS. Don't mention any of that. Don't mention the 1995 Israel election where Netanyahu was elected with 0.5 percentage point after the Arab-Israeli electorate decided to sit out the election in protest because the incumbent Shimon Peres bombed a refugee camp, killing hundreds of men, women, and children. Although his policies were pretty hawkish, he was one of the architects of the Oslo Accords. By Netanyahu getting elected, he annexed hundreds of thousands of acres of occupied land, stacked the judiciary, overhauled the judiciary, consolidated power, and led just huge genocide that's going on today. All because of 0.5 percentage point in 1995. So you don't want to mention any of that stuff. There's this group, they start from their church and they march up to Planned Parenthood, and they do it with a full police escort. Once they're in front of Planned Parenthood, they harass people going to receive health care. They set up fake clinic escorts dressed as nurses to go and intercept and deceive people coming in to receive health care. They do this with police guarding them the entire way. Now, this happens in New York City. New York City, that happens. Downtown, Soho. It happens on Saturday every month, first of the month, while people are having brunch. When I was telling you this, you probably thought, oh, that happens in one of those states. No, it doesn't. Now, what's the next one? Okay, Manhattan District 2. That is one of the largest, most successful school districts, public school districts in the country, especially in New York. And you're thinking, oh, it's like a big liberal school district. No, it isn't, because the entire board was taken over by Moms for Liberty. When I say Moms for Liberty, I mean people that speak at Moms for Liberty events. They speak at Moms for Liberty events and they say things that if you heard it, you'd be like, they shouldn't be around children at all. People that say that black people were better off during Jim Crow shouldn't work in education. Hot take. All of this happens where I live. If I explained this and didn't tell you where it was, you'd be like, oh, of course, that's happening in those places. Now, one of the biggest liabilities that I've seen nationwide is a lot of people thinking, well, because of where I live, none of this is really going to affect me. And that's fucking wrong. So thank you. What are we talking about? We're at the DNC. We're talking about climate. Biden did a bunch of good things, in my opinion. What are the bad things that he's done?
Kept drilling, even though he said he wouldn't. Apparently it's tied up in court. Feels like you could do something about that.
He approved the Willow Project.
The Willow Project, but that's going to add 2, maybe 300 permanent jobs.
I think
there will be jobs.
I think it's 80.
Yeah.
Like I checked.
It's going to just obliterate, like our carbon, all of that's going to be an absolute nuke. But there'll be like a few hundred jobs, maybe like 1,000 seasonal jobs.
Right. Well, for every oil and gas job we don't create, there will be renewable energy jobs we do create.
Can I grab the mic here real quick? Hello. This is for you, the viewer. I know that the Biden administration has not been perfect, and I know that the Harris administration probably wouldn't either. You still have to vote. You gotta vote. You can't stay home and pretend like you're doing a good thing by abstaining.
As a leftist, though, I feel like it's my duty to get online every day, tell people not to vote, and to totally disengage from any civic participation. Biden, he did a bunch of stuff that we don't like, but he did some stuff like $500 billion a year to fighting climate change, to creating renewable energy, the Justice 40 initiative, where 40% of money invested in climate change goes towards, very disaffected areas, black and brown people, Appalachia.
It's a really bad name, the Inflation Reduction Act, but there's a lot of really good climate policy in there. It's the most significant U.S. climate policy of all time. I gotta give the Biden administration points for passing that, and that's a huge reason why I'm at the DNC.
This also would not have happened if it wasn't for, first of all, people showing up to vote. Trump's not passing this shit. And then also for people being really annoying and being activists and demanding that something happen. Like, if it wasn't for the pressure to pass something like a Green New Deal, no chance we get the Inflation Reduction Act. No chance we get that $500 billion you said.
It's the same thing with Tim Walz. He was not down with the climate until people just harassed him.
Yep.
To his face. And it's hard. I love the guy. I see him and his family. I'm like, I would die for you, man.
His son.
Oh, God.
It was so cute.
And at the same time, climate activists would show up at campaign events and yell in his face.
Yeah,
Children.
Climate defiance. Climate defiance moved him on climate.
Yeah.
Yep. After he approved Line 3, I think it was, and then after that he became a great climate candidate.
When I think back to 2019, right? Flashback to 2019. Climate, not on the agenda, right? Mm-hmm. Then all these activists organizing, marching, whether it's Sunrise Movement or all the activists that you see getting out there and putting on the pressure, that's what changed things, right? It was because we didn't shut up about it. We came, we organized, we marched. We had these massive amounts of people out in the streets at every single event. And then climate change became a top issue on every single presidential candidate's gambit. And it then became one of Biden's 4 central pillars of his election because of the climate movement. So when you look at the Inflation Reduction Act, or the billions of dollars going into all of this climate policy, that's because of the movement. Like, yes, the administration takes credit for it because they passed the bill, but the only reason that happened was because of grassroots pressure from people like you and like us. And so if we keep that up in this election and we get out and vote and we put in place candidates, whether it's not just the president, it's our Congress people, it's our Senates, it's everybody working in your city council, up and down the ballot, put in place the right people, they're going to put that money into
The bottom line is, you can vote for them. You can also show up to their rallies, scream at them, and make sure that they don't get to say their speech. They can't even finish talking. Lightning round. We're going to do climate disinformation, fact checking. Give me some climate disinformation.
Natural gas, not a bridge fuel. Grow up. Switch to real renewables.
Electric vehicles aren't good for the environment. There are issues with the way they're produced, but they're still better than combustion engines. Actually, hybrid engines are still the most carbon efficient type of engine.
Climate change, not a hoax. It's literally happening everywhere.
What? Okay, but what about the thing where they're talking about, well, like, temperature's always been going up and down, and, you know, in some places, you know, it's going up, but then other places it's falling. You know, what are you
Oh
talking
shit,
about?
really? Oh, well then what am I doing here? Okay, bye.
It's like when people are like, oh, climate change, the world's weather has always been changing. I'm like, have you ever read a book? Show me the paper. Show me one real legitimate source.
They're like, how come Antarctica isn't melting?
What?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I hear this all the time. They don't, so forgive them.
Yeah,
I hear
don't go
this
to
every
RNC
day.
rallies.
Yeah. So basically, the Antarctica is not melting.
Yes, it is.
It will. It's just happening slowly. You know, we have to think on like geologic time. It's very hard for a lot of people to zoom out and think in like hundreds of years, but the climate is changing very quickly on like, you know, geologic time. On a human time frame, it feels very slow.
I got one. Climate action. Not bad for the economy. Bad for rich people and billionaires and oil barons. Not bad for you. You'll be fine. In fact, heating, transportation, probably cheaper. You'll be fine.
Oh, that's the thing where they're like, oh, well, if there's any climate action and any climate initiative is just going to hurt the working class and people that already can't pay their bills.
No.
The climate movement has created so many jobs. The administration launched the Climate Corps, which is providing thousands and thousands of jobs for young people and training. As we go into renewable energy, and we're building solar farms, and we're building windmills and all this stuff, thousands and thousands of jobs, lots of money for normal people. I feel like we don't realize that we're on this like weird oil subscription service, where it's like going into your energy, it's going into your car, and just constantly throwing all your money to the fossil fuel industry. And they're just raking it in. And we're just like
Spending it on lobbyists.
Literally spending it on lobbyists and fucking up all of our other social issues too. Enough!
The truth is, as Saad said, there is gasoline powering a lot of our society. If we actually price in the social cost of carbon, prices will go up. They will go up. But that's not because the climate movement wants things to be more expensive. It's because we've been pretending like there's no cost to all of this pollution. And we're starting to realize that it's changing the environment. And so the idea of switching to renewable energy is to create an alternative source of cheap energy, not to raise prices. But if we don't do this, we're just going to have we're going to stay in this fantasy land where everything can be powered by gasoline, and like we're not going to ever pay the consequences of it. And so
what about clean coal? Clean coal, myth or not?
There's no such thing.
Nah, my buddy Cole, dirty as hell. Never showers.
2 more pieces of like hoaxiness. Carbon capture, storage, not real. Fossil fuel plant. There is like all of these, every single place that's trying to invest in
carbon capture.
In carbon, every single place that's trying to invest in carbon capture is a fossil fuel industry place, because if they can keep on, they're going to tell you, oh yeah, we can just take the carbon out of the atmosphere. Not a problem. Not true. They've never demonstrated it on any scale that's reliable, useful, or cost effective. Total BS.
It's a scale thing. There is carbon capture technology is real, but there's no scenario in which it scales fast enough to actually make a dent in the global carbon picture. So people saying that it's going to solve everything are like it's like a religion. It's like a myth. It's not real. The technology is interesting and cool, but the idea that that will get us out of this problem is a myth.
I was at an RFK Jr. rally, and he was just spouting insanity. And then he talks about carbon capture, and he called it a scam, and saying like kind of the same thing. And I was like, okay, bro, like you like said one, suddenly like he went into coherence, and I was like, oh. What I like to tell people is, the people responsible for climate change have addresses.
They go to lunch.
They go out to dinner sometimes. The private sector, when you talk about profit has driven innovation. Everything good that we've had has been through the private sector. Like iPhones, for instance.
Like, except for the battery, which was public sector, and the touch screen, and the internet that it's connected to, and the GPS, also funded by the government, and the fiber optics it's connected to, and also the Wikipedia that's probably on there. Although I guess that's semi-private funded.
They ask for donations every year.
Oh.
Besides the iPhone and all of its components, like what else has the public sector given us?
We got nuclear power, lithium batteries, airbags.
So nuclear energy.
Solar panels.
All of those things happened because there was a profit motive, apparently.
Except for like Wikipedia and piracy and protesting and like community gardens and like public art and like volunteering and like any UBI study, sites that people would work anyway, and community action, mutual aid.
Wait, what's mutual aid?
It's like when people help each other just to help each other and then they don't get paid for it. Teachers and librarians who don't make as much money as they should and they're always working overtime for no pay.
Okay. Wait, librarians, I thought librarians aren't millionaires?
No.
Okay. All right. I mean, agree to disagree, but I'll fact check that later. Besides all of that, besides those things, I'm still right.
So true.
What's your name?
Terry Pickens.
And you're running for governor of...
Very red Idaho, yes.
As a Democrat.
As a Democrat, yes.
I mean, what's wrong with Idaho?
Idaho is actually a very lovely place. It's not the Idaho that I was born and raised in right now, though. Idaho right now is run by an actual crazy person. I will say that, actual crazy person. Her name is Dorothy Moon. She's the chair of the Idaho Republican Party, my former party. And her...
Oh, you switched. You're one of those.
I know, I switched sides.
How many times did you vote for Trump?
0!
When did you switch from the Republican Party?
When Trump became their nominee. Actually, that's not true. In 2016, I did not switch. I just did not vote for him. I voted to, shatter the glass ceiling, and that did not happen.
So right now, Idaho is anti-trans, anti-gay,
anti-women,
anti-choice,
anti-book reading,
reproductive health care,
anti-education,
anti-books, Moms Against Literacy, Planned Parenthood.
Guns have more rights in Idaho than kids and gay people. Yeah.
Corporations.
And women.
Guns, corporations, and then what's next?
White men.
White men.
White young men.
White young men.
White boys.
White boys. Livestock.
Yes, chattel.
And then
Then women.
Then women.
Then
women.
Women.
That's
then
how
women.
Idaho rolls.
Yeah, then women, then gay people, and the trans kids aren't even allowed because there's no medical care for them, so they can't be there.
And you're running to change all of that.
I'm running to be the veto power so I can get rid of all of this nonsense that they have passed, yes.
Did you say you can bring a gun anywhere in Idaho?
Well, you can't bring guns into concert venues because they're private and they can say we're not going to allow you to have guns in
public
our private
venues.
Yeah, public venues, they're absolutely allowed.
So if I wanted to go testify at the state capitol, I could bring my AR-15?
Absolutely. Strap that baby on your back, go in there, tell those legislators what you want to do with your rights. With your AR-15 strapped on your back, maybe a little gun here in your pocket. I mean, anybody
just
can conceal
Metal Gear Solid, yeah, just like...
I mean, the AR-15 sling over the back is more common, however.
Yeah.
It fits right in Idaho.
But not at a concert venue. Not at a Trump rally, apparently. Because you go to the Trump rallies, they don't let you in with your guns.
I know, isn't that something? Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, so again, you shouldn't visit the Idaho State Capitol because,
And when is your election?
November of 2026.
Hello, America. Thank you to the workers that make this convention happen. I come from Appalachia. We kept the lights on in this country for generations, but the wealth made by our broken backs and our black lungs never did trickle down. And Washington listened to rich men demanding that we stick with dirty energy at any cost. Across the country, working class people are looking for a political home. After years of both parties putting profit above people. Trump, a billionaire, says that he'll take on the elites, but then he promises handouts to big oil, and he punches down at anyone with the guts to be different. But populism that insists we are too different to get along, is just divide and conquer by a different name. They called us rednecks back in the 1920s because striking workers from all different races wore red bandanas around their necks as they fought and died for respect and a living wage. Their fight yesterday is our fight right now.
How did they let you speak?
Let's just get right into it. I was wearing a watermelon pin up there on the stage.
I love it.
But I put it, right here, and it did not show up like I wanted it to. And what the point I wanted to make, I'm from Wheeling, West Virginia, and there are labor roots in West Virginia that we need to pay attention to right now, and that the party needs to move towards. And the reason why, and you might not know the story, I'm gonna nerd out. Can I just do this? Can I nerd out?
Let's go.
Hang on to your butts. 100 years ago, black workers and white workers in the coal fields of West Virginia joined together to fight for their labor rights, and they took up arms against the government and coal companies, and they wore red bandanas around their neck to show what side they were on. So I wanted to go up there and say, it's time for showing what side you're on, and it's time for real solidarity and real populism, because we have this rising fascist movement that's offering us the fake thing. It says, point fingers at each other instead of the richest people on earth who run all this shit. And that's fake. The real stuff was in the coal fields, and the real stuff is standing together today because working class people everywhere, whether it's from my part of the country, where they shut down a shit ton of factories and put people out of work, or whether it's kids in East Palestine to Palestine, like everybody is interconnected, and we have to recognize that that is not a new thing. That's part of who we are.
Populism is very broad. There's populism that goes the wrong way.
Oh yeah.
It's exclusionary.
Yeah.
There's a nasty history in the labor movement of racism and exclusion. That's also populism. It's too broad for me, and I understand populism is easier for someone in Appalachia to eat up versus telling them communism, socialism, leftism, Democrat Partyism.
Well, I feel like that versus populism entered back into the vocabulary when Trump came up, but they got that wrong.
Because that's a populist movement.
That is a fascist movement to me. What I want to say is
fake populist movement.
It's fake populism.
But I mean, it's so good at just pretending to be a populist movement.
Yeah, and they co-opted that, and now is the time to say real populism is when you recognize that whether you are here in Palestine, anywhere where people are fighting for survival and their freedom, joining together and recognizing that their fight is your fight, that's real populism, not this fake shit that we're being offered. And it is so important to recognize that right now before people get sucked all the way down pipelines that end up consuming us all, right? This is my longer version of my DNC talk.
I love that. He's the guy, if you don't know, I go to Trump rallies to make them look stupid and to just dog walk them. And
what the hell, Walter?
You know what? You went to a Trump rally and you said, hey, come with me, I will buy us ice cream, and you just gave them a lesson in labor.
Yeah, the ice cream comes after the lesson, because the main point of that is that when you're going to them, in my experience, when you're going to them and you're not defending a party they've been told to hate by the best propaganda apparatus that's ever been built, when you're going there and you're not defending that, and you're saying, hey, we're connected together, don't you hate it that 3 companies run everything in your life, and they say, oh my God, everything's owned by Vanguard and BlackRock. The little old lady's house down the street just got bought up by an investment banker and is kicking people out. They can get with that.
I've done this so many times. I've done what you're talking about multiple times. The problem with that is there comes a part where they swerve off the road.
Yeah.
We're vibing here. BlackRock, bad. Billionaires, why billionaires? Why this? And then the problem is, capitalism is never the culprit.
Yeah, you mean to them?
To them. That's where the anti-Semitic conspiracy theories come. Capitalism would work well if it wasn't for a bunch of billionaires in a room together, that happen to be of a certain and we all know the words to the song. That's the frustration I've had. We're vibing for a moment, and then it just goes, no, but Elon's one of the good ones. They're one of the good ones, and you're
it's so hard to nail this stuff because you start to pick it apart and you realize that we're just the most propagandized people on earth, and so I feel like doing this and like building a movement that has everybody in it. If you really want a working class revolution, you got to get those people. But it's going to take so long to get there to unwind what is beat on into us every day.
So let me start from the beginning.
Yeah.
You are from Appalachia.
Yeah.
You live amongst people that are most MAGA, and you look the role. So they come up at you and they just talk to you like, hey, you know, the capitalism would work great if it wasn't for DEI, immigrants, and trans people.
Yeah.
Am I right? And then what do you say?
I mean, why are we arguing about private parts? We should be arguing about the richest people that is making life tough for both you and me because they run everything in our life. So like, miss me with all of that. That's just something somebody is feeding you because they want you to be mad at me because that's how they win. Try to pound that drum constantly. I run up against how much propaganda we have, but I wanted to come here and like impress that on the party because part of my frustration is like the other side of this divide and conquer is for liberal people to like look at, Appalachia is a frontline community. We have been wrecked by the worst of capitalism. I'm dropping a story soon about this facility, Austin Master, processes radioactive frack waste. They were supposed to store 600 tons. They have 10,000 tons, 500 feet from the Ohio River. Everyone who lives around there that drinks that water, they're a Trump supporter, and they deserve justice too. So my frustration with liberals is like, hey, if you want to overthrow capitalism, you got to talk to the poor whites in Appalachia that know the cost of coal mining and have been victimized every bit as much as poor blacks in Louisiana. That is my message to liberals in the
No,
DNC.
that's an uphill battle because those are the same people that see that they think that the most jobs are coming from oil and gas, and they think that there's such a thing as clean coal.
Yeah.
They think that they're so propagandized against their own interests. I made a video joking. I said, hey, isn't it funny like how if someone says clean water is a human right, you know who they're voting for? And people argued with me about that. They're like, it's not, what do you mean, clean water? Like personal responsibility. And I was like, oh my God. Like, and I was like, how is that controversial?
Bro, how do we fix this?
I know, dude. It's like
actually, what do you think?
I honestly, it's just like, I feel like you just got to keep pushing and counter messaging about this. I travel the country. I listen to people talk all the time. Part of me is almost happy that Elon turned Twitter into like this like the back page of 4chan.
Oh God.
Because I'm like, you know what? All of you need to listen to what is being said around the country.
Yeah.
All of these conspiracy theories that I've been hearing for years.
Yeah.
That have been just mainstream to me. I'm like, oh yeah, like that one. And I'm like, all of you need to hear it because that's what's being said around the country, and everyone's in their little bubble and they don't hear it the same way.
We're so horribly underserved. I mean, here I am. I'm gonna do my annoying guy at a party thing and be like, the two-party system is so bad, but it deprives us from anyone who.
We need ranked choice voting.
We need ranked choice voting.
I mean, there's no way around it. You need ranked choice voting because like once you have ranked choice voting, that that is actually the most bipartisan thing. Every people on the right, left, they all hate this sort of duopoly thing, and I don't believe that they're the same party. If you've done your research, you know that is false. Even with AIPAC, I mean, they give to the incumbents on the Republican side, and on the Democrat side, they give to primary challengers.
Yeah, there's this whole conversation online where people are like, we shouldn't vote. Voting is defense. It can never be offense. And we just think in this country that that's where it ends, but that should really be where it starts. I mean, we're both horribly underserved by the choices at hand. We don't have ranked choice voting. The people in power are never going to give that to us. So like, what have we got? We got defense, but then we have to relearn what else politics involves, and that means organizing your workplace, getting people together, because if you work with a bunch of Trump people and you're a liberal at your workplace to get a contract, you now need that person, and you're going to interact with that person, and barriers are going to start to come down. And with this rising labor movement, part of the thing I wanted to address in the speech is maybe this is the time to relearn our labor roots, to start organizing in small places where we know each other to break down the propaganda and division.
You know who does that? You know what group? They
Yeah.
teach them to do that. It's a nationwide group. It's an anarchist structure.
Yeah.
It's organized as an anarchist structure, anarchist syndicalist.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
they have thousands of independent chapters.
Yeah.
They meet up once a year to talk about what you talk about, how getting into the smallest roles of government.
Yeah.
In your local community, and how one person can make a difference.
'Cause the
That
right
group,
does
that group is Moms for Liberty.
Oh, see? The right does
Yeah,
that.
so Moms for Liberty. So my thing is, if Moms for Liberty is more inspirational, if their message on civic engagement is more inspirational, you're doing it wrong.
That's
Like
actually
they
true.
literally teach you. I swear, they're gonna meet next week.
Yeah.
And I've been to the last one. It's not like rah flag waving. They sit there with their notebook and they are taught how to organize, how to do this locally, and it's just get involved in the smallest. The Koch brothers do.
They
The
go
Koch
on-
brothers taught this. Do you remember the Koch
Yeah,
brothers
bro.
in
Oh,
the
how cute.
80s? They would the Koch brothers would just put
Yeah.
way too much money to someone's school board campaign
Yeah.
to get rid of
They're like, let's
forced
buy the school board.
busing, and everyone's like, wow,
Damn, you kinda
they
go
would
hard in the
they
bank,
would
Koch brothers.
they would APAC the school board campaigns.
Yeah.
They were the APAC of school board campaigns.
So where are we? What are we doing?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I think we need to start distinguishing, in my opinion. There's the organizing left,
Yeah.
and then there's the online left.
Yes.
And
Correct.
the online left, I'm fucking done, bro. this fucking, we're gonna stay home till the revolution fucking is over, and then
If you believe in that, if you believe in a revolution, you want the working class to take over. There's a lot of working class people with very bad opinions right now. That doesn't mean, what are you going to do? Wipe them out? You got to go change it. For how much Ronald Reagan humping happened at the DNC, let me do a little Reagan humping of my own. That guy was a freak, a radical. He was on the fringe in the 60s. Ronald Reagan was bumming around with Barry Goldwater. Give that a Google if you don't already nerd out on this. The country rejected him and that politics forever. He didn't change himself. He changed the polls, and now we're living in a right-wing hellscape because the right knows how to go and do that. If you want a working class revolution, you got to understand that there are people who don't agree with you right now, but they could, and it's not through short-term electoral politics. It's through 1,000 other things that add up to politics, like organizing your workplace.
we're not civic-minded. Tim Walz became a good climate governor because people screamed in his face.
Yeah,
He
right.
showed up to
Right.
events, to campaign events.
Yeah.
People screamed at him until he left.
That's another thing. Don't love these people. They don't.
No. I love them
Yeah.
until I don't.
Yeah.
All right. Like
Yeah.
I love Tim Walz. I adore him. Kamala, I think she's a fantastic candidate. But I will go if they act like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I will go up and scream on them.
Yeah.
When it's like, all right, end the thing.
Yeah.
Stop the Willow Project thing. Don't ban TikTok. We don't
Yeah, what happened to that? Are we gonna
It's
get
like
banned?
it's a politically inconvenient app.
It is a
It was
politically
poli-
inconvenient app.
I became famous because I bashed Trump for the TikTok ban in front of Trump Tower. It was about the TikTok ban, and I blew up from that. Years later, it flipped on its head, and it's politically inconvenient to AIPAC. So AIPAC's like, hey, I know y'all were thinking about banning it, but China.
Let me pop off for your edit real quick on a tangent.
Go for it.
There should have been Palestinian representation on the stage here at the DNC, and part of the reason why 5 minutes of stage time is not a big ask at all. And if we can't trust you to do that, how are we going to tackle fucking climate change? If we can't trust you to do that, how are we going to tackle climate change or any of our biggest problems if you're just silencing or running away from a problem? I want this party to win.
We live in a racist country. If we put Palestinians on the stage, everyone would scream terrorist. Because, people say when they hear Palestinian, they just go, oh, terrorism.
Yeah.
That's it. They say, when you say Palestinian, they think Hamas. And they go right to the worst, lowest common denominator. Being here has been challenging. I've had interviews and I'm like, am I not screaming in people's faces enough? I was like, should I just come here and scream in people's faces?
Did I see you screaming at Mike Lindell?
I couldn't fucking find him. I couldn't find
Oh,
Vivek.
okay, yeah.
I couldn't find Ramos. I couldn't find Vivek. Couldn't find Charlie Kirk. Couldn't find Mike Lindell.
I heard you were getting
Couldn't-
hunted by Secret Service earlier.
Somebody
told me that.
Oh, that's because I screamed at Newsmax.
Nice. Love
I
that.
went in there and I congratulated them on their commitment to truth and justice.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's some Orwellian stuff.
Fucking amazing. Here, let's go over this way. You joining the protest? Yeah. We're joining it.
Join the protest.
0 years old!
Everybody.
Hey.
Hi, how you doing? I'm joining y'all. How are you?
0 years old! Abakais Abdul Karim El Zahrani! 0 years old! Alan Abdul Rahman Alain Al Outsar! 0 years old! 0 years old! Amal Mohammed Saleh! 0 years old! 0 years old! Amal Mohammed Ahmad Al Bayuk! 0 years old! Westmore! He was 0 years old! Amir Mohammed Sulati Al Basri! 0 Badr Yasser Rafiq Abu Habib! 0 years old! 0 years old! Bilal Mohammed Kamal Hamdan! 0 years old!
Yay! Take away women's rights. There you go. Abortion is health care. How you doing? Thanks for hating women. Thanks for hating women.
Supporting genocide!
What? No, I'm Free Palestine. They're not with you. They're just trying to glom onto your movement. What? You love women?
I have 2 daughters.
Okay, great. Well, let them make their own choices. You don't get to make the choices. Yeah, your mom raised you. Yeah, great. Don't force women to give birth.
I love my daughters.
You love your daughters. Yeah. Well, when your daughters, if they get pregnant, let them make their own choices. So what?
Abortion is intentional.
No, it isn't.
But human beings.
No, it's not.
Human rights.
There's no proof of that, actually.